Hey guys, this is Rupesh from Beebom.com and this here is the brand new Realme 5 Pro that has just launched in India. And this seems like another great budget Realme smartphone that is all set to take on the Redmis, the Zenfones, the Honors, etc. Now before I talk about the brand new Realme 5 Pro, let me tell you that this video has been sponsored by the Volta Cable, which is a cross-device magnetic cable that is super duper cool. I'll talk more about the Volta Cable at the end of this video, so stay tuned for that. Now let's check out the new Realme 5 Pro. So this is the new Realme 5 Pro, and like every other Realme phone we have come across in the past, this one has a fancy new back finish and a lot of other upgrades like some important design changes, the brand new quad camera setup and performance upgrades. So let's take it one by one. Let's start off with this new fancy back. Like the previous Realme phones, this too is polycarbonate that looks like glass, and it has this diamond texture finish that reminds me a lot of the first Realme phone. Anyway, this new green color does look pretty nice and unique. Just look at it next to the Realme 2 Pro. So yeah, kudos to Realme for this new color. The back here also features the quad camera setup in this big camera bump. Yeah, it's quite a bump. There's also the fast physical fingerprint scanner here, and yeah, it's pretty cool. Now I was talking about some design upgrades, right? Well, my favorite change in the Realme 5 Pro is this, the USB-C port. Well, I've been wanting USB-C on these budget Realme phones, and well, it is finally here, and this really makes me happy. That's not all though, the front has a minor improvement too. I mean, the display is the same 6.3-inch IPS LCD display, and yeah, AMOLED would have been nicer, but I don't have any problems with it. It's nice with good vibrant colors, and it still has the notch. But the teardrop notch here is said to be smaller. I don't think it's a big difference, but Realme calls it the mini drop design. Apart from that, the design here is said to have multiple layers to bring splash resistant. Yeah, the Realme 5 Pro is said to be resistant against rain and your usual daily splashes of water. Well, let me just put some water on it. I think that's more than a splash. Well, it seems to be fine. Let me just put some more. So the back finish is new and there are some cool new design upgrades, but let's talk about the most hyped up feature of the Realme 5 Pro, this quad camera setup. Let's get the specs out of the way. There's a 48 megapixel Sony IMX586 primary sensor, an 8 megapixel ultra wide angle lens, a 2 megapixel macro lens and a 2 megapixel depth sensor. Now this is a good upgrade from the Realme 3 Pro, and this means most of the shooting scenarios are pretty much covered. With the 48 megapixel primary camera, you can capture your usual photos, and in my brief usage, the primary camera does seem pretty capable in both good light and low light. I mean, in daytime, obviously the details are great, the dynamic range is good. Some photos are oversaturated, but yeah, I'll be testing things out more. I also like the low light photos so far, which are bright and nice, so yeah, things seem good. Now I will be testing the cameras here against the upcoming Mi A3 and the Redmi Note 7 Pro, so stay tuned for our full review. Now coming to the second lens here, the ultra wide angle lens. As you can see in these photos, the ultra wide angle lens seems to do a fairly good job in good light. The colors are intact and I like the clarity. In low light the noise creeps in, but this was kind of expected. Now moving on to the third lens, the macro lens. Now this is a rare camera sensor in phones, so I like the fact that Realme decided to go with this lens in the Realme 5 Pro. Anyway, I've only taken a few macro shots from this lens and so far I have mixed feelings about this, but yeah, I'll be testing things out more. Lastly, there's the depth sensor for portrait mode shots, and well, this makes sure that the portrait mode photos have good edge detection and a nice background blur, and it kind of shows in the photos. I mean, this is a pretty good portrait mode photo, right? Now apart from that, there are usual Realme features like nightscape, which is said to have been improved, and well, it does seem fairly good for the price of the phone. There's also chroma boost, the ultra 48 megapixel mode, expert mode and more. Now when it comes to videos, there's support for 4K videos which have good quality, but yeah, since there's only EIS, it's not very stable. The EIS kicks in at 1080p video, as you can see now, and in this video it's definitely more stable and nicer. Now on to the selfies. The Realme 5 Pro comes with a 16 megapixel f2.0 camera, which on paper seems like a downgrade from the 25 megapixel selfie camera on the Realme 3 Pro. But well, it is not. It's said to be improved, and well, things do seem better in the few selfies I've taken. The selfies seem sharp and nice, so yeah, the selfies are pretty good. Plus, I like the fact that there's EIS on the front camera, and Realme has promised that the nightscape mode will arrive on the front camera with an OTA update later, so yeah, the front camera is about to get more exciting. Look, I've always liked the cameras in Realme phones, and the Realme 5 Pro cameras don't seem like an exception so far. They're versatile thanks to the 4-camera setup, and in my brief usage, the cameras here have performed really well, so I'm positive. Having said that, it's still early days and I will be putting it to test against the competition, so stay tuned for that. Now, coming to the performance upgrades in the Realme 5 Pro. So the Realme 5 Pro bumps up the performance by bringing in the new Snapdragon 712 chipset with up to 8 gigs of RAM and up to 128 gigs of UFS 2.1 storage. Okay, so the Snapdragon 712, which let me tell you is not a huge upgrade over the Snapdragon 710. Both are 10nm chipsets, they have the same cores, the same GPU, the same modem and the same ISP. Yes, the Snapdragon 712 does have a higher clock speed and that results in 10% faster performance. Now let's take a look at the benchmark scores. Well, as you can see, the Snapdragon 712's higher clock speed means it beats the Snapdragon 710 as well as the Snapdragon 675 in AnTuTu scores. It's surprising really. In Geekbench, the 675 is obviously better as it still has the more powerful CPU, but in other GPU benchmarks, the Snapdragon 712 is a win. Look, it's clear that the Snapdragon 712 in the Realme 5 Pro is an iterative upgrade over the Snapdragon 710. But hey, I'm not complaining because it is a fairly powerful processor. I mean, right now the phone feels really fast and snappy, and gaming on the phone is great too. PUBG Mobile runs on high graphics settings by default and the experience is really good, as you can notice it. I also played Asphalt 9 on the phone and the graphics were really nice and the gameplay fairly smooth. Plus, you must have noticed me saying that the Realme 5 Pro has UFS 2.1 storage, which I think is great because the Realme 2 Pro had an eMMC storage, and even the likes of the Redmi Note 7 Pro have an eMMC storage. And well, obviously UFS 2.1 is faster. So yeah, the Realme 5 Pro with Snapdragon 712 seems pretty sorted on the performance front. Well, those are the big upgrades in the Realme 5 Pro, and a lot of other things remain the same, and it's not a bad thing really. The Realme 5 Pro has the same big 4045 mAh battery that should last pretty long. And it has the same impressive 20-watt VOOC 3.0 charger on board. So the charging should be pretty fast too. On the software front, it's the same ColorOS 6, which I'm not a big fan of. We recently made a video on the upcoming Realme OS where I talked about the ColorOS 6 problems, and well, they still remain on the Realme 5 Pro. There's still the identification of unknown numbers feature, which is a privacy issue. There's still these weird app recommending hot apps and hot games folder, and there's still the bloatware with apps like Daily Hunt, Hello, Opera News, UC Browser, WPS Office pre-installed. Well, Realme has said that it is moving towards a more stock Android-like experience, and well, I'm hoping the Realme OS brings that and fixes all of these issues that I have. So yeah, here's hoping. Anyway, apart from that, the Realme 5 Pro has the Widevine L1 license, so you can see the HD tag in the Netflix app, which is nice. When it comes to the Camera 2 API support, it has full support, so no problems here as well. Now, before I conclude things, let me talk about the Volta cable, which is super cool. So this is the Volta 2.0, and this is the one cable you need for all your devices. Here's how it works. It has a standard USB on one end and an open magnet on the other end, so you can turn it into a micro USB cable, a USB-C cable, or even a lightning cable for your iPhone. It is awesome. Plus, there are so many cool features. First up, the cable here is tangle-free and military-grade strong. And secondly, this works like MagSafe. Volta 2.0 automatically detaches itself from the device when you trip on the wire. Plus, it supports fast charging and has an LED indicator. Yeah, Volta is the one cable you need. Volta 2.0 is available for around $20 and rupees 1,300 in India. And Beebom subscribers can get a 15% discount by using the code BOOM15. So check out Volta 2.0 cable from the link down below. Well, that was a good look at the brand new Realme 5 Pro. And at the time of shooting this video, we don't know the price of the phone, but if the Realme 3 Pro, the Realme 2 Pro are any indication, it should be priced at less than 15,000 rupees. Now, if you ask me how is the Realme 5 Pro, well, to be honest, this seems like another great budget smartphone from Realme. I mean, we've seen that Realme has been gaining market share rapidly, and this phone shows why. The Realme 5 Pro brings important upgrades. The back finish is new and fancy, and yeah, that is important. They are quad cameras now and they seem really good. The Snapdragon 712, although not a huge upgrade from the 710, is powerful, and the design upgrades like USB-C, splash resistance are really good additions. Yes, it's not all good. The phone still does not have a glass back. ColorOS 6 has its privacy problems and its share of issues, and some might feel that there aren't a lot of changes here. But if you ask me, the Realme 5 Pro seems like another solid smartphone from Realme. Now, if you're planning to buy this, I'd suggest you to wait for our full review, which will arrive after I've tested the phone extensively. So stay tuned and make sure to subscribe to our channel. Also, give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and make sure to share it with your friends. And yeah, if you have any questions on the Realme 5 Pro, make sure to ask away in the comments section down below, and I'll answer them in our full review. Well, that's me signing off. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.